This is one of the biggest electric unicycles that I have ever ridden, and yet it doesn't really feel that big. But that's not the thing that shocked me about this wheel. So let's talk about it. This is Wheel Good Time. Let's start this review with the specs of the Leaperkim Oryx. This behemoth weighs 126 pounds, has a 4,200 watt motor, a cavernous 4,700 watt hour, 176 volt battery pack, and a 25 watt headlight. This marks a pretty big departure from the previous lineup of Leaperkim EUCs, where they haven't released a wheel of this size, well, ever. Leaperkim did have the infamous Abrams, a big 22-inch wheel, but we don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about Bruno, no.
In recent years, Leaperkim has released EUCs with a maximum 20-inch wheel diameter, edge to edge. But now, they've thrown their hat into the ring into the 23-inch realm. But enough about the specs, let's talk about the ride feel and the power. In a word, the ride feel can only be described as incredible. This is the smoothest riding, smoothest power delivery, large diameter wheel I've ever ridden. I'm riding with soft pedals and acceleration assist turned all the way up, and that allows me to access a lot of the power that's in this wheel's deep reserves. Acceleration is incredibly smooth and gets up to speed ridiculously easy. The braking also comes very easily as well. Of course, you can't defy the laws of physics, and inertia does play a role here. It will inevitably be a bit slower to accelerate than a lighter weight wheel, of course, and it will take a little more effort for it to brake. But something about this wheel is just really, really special. It doesn't take that much effort to brake or accelerate, especially for its size. Best of all, it feels like there's no limit to the speed that it's capable of. There's just so much headroom that it's just dangerously easy for me to continue accelerating more and more and more. In fact, I am 100% confident that on this wheel, I'm going to be shattering my own personal speed records. It's just that stable, that smooth, and that powerful. But enough about the power. A big part of this is the suspension. This is a brand new suspension that is made by Leaperkim and also by Fastace. This is a totally redesigned suspension that is specifically made not just for the Oryx, but for electric unicycles in particular. One thing that you'll notice is that both of these are identical. They're both blue. These both control the compression, the rebound, and the preload all together, all at the same time. I did find it a little bit disappointing that I'm not able to fine tune it, and admittedly, I'm a tinkerer. I like to be able to fine tune things and play around with it. Even a year later, I like to just kind of mess with the settings here and there just to make sure I'm fully dialed in. You can't really do that with this wheel. It's just all at the same time, compression, rebound, and preload all at the same time. This pre-production unit here has a 66-pound spring, and it was dialed all the way down to the minimum setting. And honestly, it felt really, really good. For me and for someone that was a lighter weight 175-pound rider, we both found the suspension to be ridiculously plush, super, super awesome. And we tested it on really nasty potholes throughout the town, and it just behaved so wonderfully. The suspension, despite not being able to adjust it the way that I used to be able to with other Leaperkim wheels, it's okay. This new suspension on the Oryx is just so nice that I don't really care that much about tinkering. Let's talk about this big fat tire, shall we? This here is a 3.5-16 tire. This thing is beefy. I was so impressed that I just didn't feel like I was riding a boat when I was riding it. Yet, it really is that big. It's hard to describe because it's such a massive wheel, but it didn't feel that way when I got moving. It felt in a way like the best parts of the Sherman L and the Bigode Master Pro all rolled into one exquisite package. And because the tire is double XL, that also means that by its very nature, your ride is going to be smoother than with a smaller tire. The kickstand is both a blessing and a curse. I give it high praise and a complaint about it. It's been redesigned to be able to flip up very easily, and it does that very nicely. Only problem is, once it's laying down, what happens if you roll it over? Now, all of a sudden, the kickstand automatically goes up, and then the back of your wheel is dragging on the ground. I wasn't a big fan of that, but as long as you're careful with it, having it out of the way really is kind of nice. I'm sure you haven't noticed it, so I'm gonna say it out loud right now. The Oryx is a tall wheel. What that means is that a short 5'7" fellow like me is able to ride seated on this thing pretty easily. In fact, it's easier for any rider to sit while riding because of how tall it is. There isn't much leg bending involved here, and that also makes it the most comfortable EUC to ride seated on the market today. I'm using the seat that is made for the Sherman L made by Beto, and yes, they are fully compatible with each other. And I found that on the Sherman L, this seat was just a little bit annoyingly short. But on the Oryx, I found it to be just the right height. I find that I can easily hop up and down on the Oryx and adjust my body positioning with ease because my knees don't have to bend very far. Truth be told though, this is not gonna be a comfortable seated ride on the Oryx unless you have an aftermarket seat, because we have this wonderful, amazing trolley handle that will make your butt hurt if you sit on it for too long. This is not made to be sat on. This is. So if you want to experience the best seated riding on an EUC, you're gonna have to buy an aftermarket seat. And sadly, it doesn't come with one. But if you do end up getting a seat and you're less than 6 feet tall, like me, that means that you should probably get a thinner seat. It's just gonna be more comfortable that way. Trust me on this. I know you're gonna love it. At 126 pounds, the Oryx is very heavy, so it's not a wheel that most people would get as their first wheel normally. This is what I would call a relatively advanced EUC. Not that it's hard to ride or use, but due to its size, it's not going to be that suitable for a learner. For that reason, the happy speed kind of goes out the window here, because it's supposed to be based on an average skilled rider in ideal conditions, but we're going to do our best. The Sherman L was tied with the ET Max, having a happy speed of 43 miles per hour, but because the Oryx has a tire that is 3 whole inches wider in diameter, it's easier to go faster on the street because it's more stable. Due to its weight, it will not be a great track racing wheel, I'm sure of that. That's a lot of weight to throw around. But on long straightaways and drag races, the Oryx is at home. There's more gyroscopic stability, keeping you safely upright. So with all those things considered, the Oryx gets an all-time record-shattering happy speed of 45 miles per hour. The tire included on the Oryx is a Knobby tire, and I know that a lot of you are probably thinking, that's super weird. I thought the same thing. This is a street wheel. We should be using a street tire. Am I right? Well, fortunately, Leaperkim has finally settled on a street tire that they're gonna be using, and it's quite nice. However, the Knobby tire on this actually was pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised with the behavior on the road with the Knobby tire. It was pretty predictable. It wasn't excessively top heavy. There was some gyro effect to it, but it wasn't anything that was extremely overbearing. And frankly, I really liked the gyro effect. So this was pretty good. It wasn't tippy, it was just predictable. And I liked that. The pedal height is adjustable. It starts in the upper position, but you can lower it down one position if you feel like it. Between you and me though, I didn't find the need to bring it down. It was perfect the way it was right out of the box. The pedals on the Oryx are super, super nice. They are made out of some sort of magnesium alloy. They're very lightweight, and they come with MTB spikes that are actually removable. They're super grippy, and best of all, these are compatible with other Leaperkim wheels, such as the Sherman L, the Patton S, and the Lynx. Now, I know what you're probably thinking about this daytime running light, because I thought the same thing too. Red should not be visible in the front. That is illegal on the road in almost every country. It does have some other little Easter eggs in there, such as flashing, stuff like that, or you can just turn it off completely, but you can still have the headlight on. Remember, this is a pre-production unit, so this doesn't mean that the production models are going to have this red light. I hope that they don't have it. That feedback has been passed along by multiple people to Leaperkim, so we are hoping and expecting the production models to not have this red light. But now let's talk about the hidden, shocking secret about the Oryx. Let me set the stage here. I do a torture test for range on all my wheels and don't do real range tests. Your expected range is wildly variable, and frankly, I just don't have all day to dedicate to a 20-mile ride just to see if I can make it to 120 miles on a single charge. So instead, I take an out and back route, riding as hard and as fast as I'm comfortable riding on some winding country roads. The entire goal is to drain this battery as quickly as I possibly can. Now, as I compare the Oryx to the Sherman L, the Oryx has about 18% more weight than the Sherman L, but only 15% more battery capacity. So I was personally expecting the Oryx to have approximately the same amount of range on this torture test as I did on my Sherman L. My Sherman L on this torture test was able to go 40 miles, from full to down to about 3% battery. And I was heavily self-regulating my speed as I go on this torture test. Now, at the exact same route on the Oryx, I had about 20 to 30% more range than I had on the Sherman L. Now, granted, it was the exact same route, so it was still 40 miles, but I had over 30% battery remaining on the Oryx when I returned home. And that's riding it harder than I did on the Sherman L. What I'm saying here is that the range on the Oryx is mind-boggling. It's like we have a nuclear reactor in here with just literally endless amounts of energy. Okay, figuratively, endless amounts of energy. What I'm trying to get at is that I was absolutely stunned at the range that I'm able to get on the Oryx. Nothing else comes close. Not the Leaperkim Sherman L, not the Bigode Master Pro, and probably not even the Bigode Panther. So that is the shocking secret about the Oryx. I had high expectations for the range on this wheel, but it completely shattered my expectations in all the best ways. The size on this wheel is both a blessing and a curse. You really gotta know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, you see the weight on this, you know it's gonna be gigantic. It's big, especially when you're riding it slowly, but I really enjoyed the ride quality that it gives, and it just rides like a lighter weight wheel. This is an incredibly well-built machine, and honestly, I absolutely love it. Really, the size and weight of it doesn't bother me. I'm 5'7", guys. I am not a tall guy, and yet I'm just in love with this wheel.
I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
Leaperkim completely knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. This is a grand slam home run. This was a triumph of epic proportions. If you want to get the Oryx for the best price and the best after-sales customer service anywhere, make sure you get it from Next Gen Mobility. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.